This is Joe Pavich Jr., and welcome to the Joe Pavich Podcast. This show is all about real people, meaningful conversations, and a splash of real estate. Welcome to the Joe Show. Today I'd like to introduce my guest, Nick Del Negro. Nick is the general manager for Lamborghini of Naples, and today we're going to talk about the ins and outs of the car business, work-life mix. We're going to have some fun. Nick, I've known you for 25 years. I can't believe it.
You have, 25 years, and thanks for having me on the show today. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and let's just go back to the old days. We can kind of, talk about friends, talk about balance, talk about work, talk about all the things that make this whole world go around for us, our inner workings.
Yeah, it's a busy life, isn't it? I mean, we go way back. You got 3 kids. I have 3 kids. Remember the days you and I working out at the gym together?
I mean, that was the 5 o'clock club.
Yeah,
5 a.m.
Exactly.
Every day religiously, you and I at the gym, on the treadmill, on the elliptical, playing racquetball, working out, hitting the weights, and just that was kind of our therapy session.
It was.
Right? I mean, we'd talk about the day. You would tell me some stories about what went on in your day the day before. I'd tell you, it was like therapy. I would tell you some things that happened in my day and get some advice from you.
Yeah. Because back and forth.
I don't always have all the answers, and sometimes you get so caught up in things. You need an outside source to kind of give you some guidance.
Just to have some laughs, you and I, Nick. You talked about racquetball, Nick. Racquetball. So we would work out together. We did a lot of cardio upstairs, and we'd see these people playing racquetball. Remember Rich?
I do. I remember Rich.
The guy was so good. He would actually empty his container of racquetballs. He put them in the corner, and he'd try to hit the ball.
He was a pro. I mean, the guy was awesome. He's 75 years old, and he gave both you and I a run for our money.
He did. Well, at least you, Nick. So we got to clear the air before we get going.
Oh, here we go.
All right, we got to clear the air.
Here we go.
Because the whole racquetball thing, I mean, I think you and I have a whole different idea of what happened in the racquetball courts. I don't know if you've ever beat me in there.
Joe, all I know is this. Your wife tells me you still have nightmares of my backhand. You wake up in cold sweats at night. That's all I'm saying. But, from one friend to another, I mean, I think I'm a little bit better.
The backhand was solid, that's for sure. We did get a couple of welts, didn't we? I think I have a couple.
I think I still have a Wilson sign on my back from you. In fact,
man.
I did. I will say this. You did break a ball in half one time, and I saw it with my own 2 eyes. I've never seen it done before, but you smashed it.
Nick, that's kind of a normal thing. I mean, that still happens, actually. But at least I'm not hitting people with the ball. So. Yeah. But it was fun. It was fun because we had a lot of laughs in the morning, that's for sure.
And, our lives are so hectic. Sometimes that's the only time we get to, kind of hang out and talk and conversate, with our hectic lives. You got kids, you got work.
That's right.
You got to have some me time, right? And that was our me time. 5 o'clock, your father would be there.
That's right.
I'd wait in the parking lot for you guys to show up.
Yeah.
And, just from those little moments that we spent together, that was the first time you actually ended up buying a car for me, actually.
It took a long time, didn't it?
It was a slow drip, yes, a super slow drip.
But then it's funny because I felt like every time I went in for an oil change after that time, it was like I walked out with another car from you. So, but, what's cool about this today is that I've used you for a long time. I've sent all my friends and clients over to you, and they've had a great experience, and vice versa, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I can honestly say I've bought a house from you. My brothers bought a house from you. My mom, I bought my mom's house with you. Done a lot of business over the years together because, it's just that level of comfort. I know one thing: if I want honest answers and I need somebody to give me the right guidance in the real estate world, I mean, you're my guy.
That's right.
That's who I turn to because you're going to shoot me straight, good, bad, and ugly, and you're not going to overpromise. You're going to, basically shoot me straight and tell me how it is. And if it's a good property, you'll tell me, hey, you should move on this. And if it's not, you'll say, you know what, Nick, be patient, wait. Let's wait for the right one. And I respect that.
It's nice when you can take your own interest out of the equation. That's what we do, right? If I called you about a car, no matter if you were going to sell it to me or not, you're always an honest guy, which I love. That's how it should be. And that's how you are in general, too, with people.
Oh, thanks. I mean, like I say, I can't sell everybody a car. I'd like to, and what I mean by that is I'd like to be able to help them.
Sure.
But if I can't sell you a car, especially now that, I'm at Lamborghini, not everybody can afford a Lamborghini, not everybody drives a Lamborghini, but I still have, many contacts in the business. I still have knowledge, and I'm happy to help anybody buy a car. I just helped a friend buy a car last week, actually, and I saw him at my daughter's football game when she was cheerleading, and they were, happy as could be and thanked me up and down. And I'm happy to do it.
You have a wide variety of cars too. When I knew you were going to Lamborghini, I thought, oh wow, well I probably won't see Nick at work. I probably would just pop in to see Nick. However, you do have a pretty wide range of cars.
I do. As a Lamborghini franchise dealer, we don't just sell Lamborghinis. Of course, that's our bread and butter. That's our main car that we sell, new and used. But we also have a variety of lightly used exotic cars and luxury vehicles that I hand-pick myself, making sure that they're the right color, the right history, the right interior, the right wheels. I say, would I buy this car?
That's right.
Would I drive this vehicle?
In real estate, it's the same thing for me. Would I buy this house? Nick, how many homes have you sent me over the years? And I said, no.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
Yeah. And I said, well, why? Why? And he said, Nick, trust me.
Trust me.
Here's 3 reasons why. And I say, I didn't even think of that.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Nick, our routine before kids was 5 a.m. in the gym, which was a blast, right? I mean, one day maybe that happens again as our kids start to get older, right? I'll meet you in the gym at 5 o'clock. But how does it differ now from before?
I mean, I'm still going to the gym just for my own mental state. I just think, you have to take care of yourself. If you're not taking care of your body and you're not in good health, you're not going to have a good day. You're not going to have good results. You're not going to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's more than just building your muscles. You look great, by the way, Nick. I mean, you look like Mark Wahlberg. I mean,
in the Funky Bunch back in the day.
That's right. Exactly.
I mean, I'm not modeling for Calvin Klein nowadays, but I just try to maintain. I do it more for the mental health.
Sure. And your brother Brian too.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
He's in the gym all the time too.
Your brother Joey's probably at the gym in Boston right now, hitting the speed bag.
He's probably hitting a heavy bag right now, doing maybe 20, 30 minutes jumping rope and speed bag, double end bag.
Yeah.
But working out to me is it's a lifestyle. It's part of my life. It's like brushing my teeth.
Yeah.
I do that every day. I try to go to the gym 4 or 5 days a week. I'm there at 5 o'clock in the morning. I work out, get ready, go to work. Usually call you on the way to work.
Yeah.
We kind of have a little chat.
That's right.
Kind of get our day going, and go get my day going. That's
it
what it's all
does
about.
set the tone for sure. I grab a coffee now. I go to the gym. Sometimes when I come home, I get ready. I get the news on. The news gets one strike with me, Nick. Now, one strike. I hear something negative, change.
Yeah.
I just can't start off with negative news, right?
I mean,
it all needs to be perfect for me.
Most of the news you're listening to today is negative, and I just want to stay clear away from that. So, when I drive to work, I got a little bit of a ride. My store's, a little bit off the beaten path. It's on the East Trail, so it's a little bit of a commute for me in the morning. But, it gives me time to clear my head.
That's right.
Catch up with some of the people I want to talk to, get my head right, get my game plan and my strategy ready for the day. And then I go in and execute.
That's right.
And by going to the gym, I have a little bit more energy. I'm more enthusiastic, and that's contagious. If I came in tired and lethargic every day, what message is that sending to my staff? Right?
You're the leader, so they're all going to follow you.
So I'm coming in, I'm brown-eyed, bushy-tailed, ready to go, smiles, high fives, knuckle smashes, and I'm getting everybody ready to go for the day.
See, I'm a little closer to work, so I don't have a whole lot of time to get it there. I got to get out of the car and jump out ready, right? Because I'm only a 2-minute drive from.
You're about a 9-iron.
Yeah, for me.
For you.
Driver.
For me.
For you.
9-iron for you. Probably a wedge, actually.
It's like golf, right? I mean, it's almost like your morning routine is almost like your first tee on golf, right? You got to hit the fairway. You might play well that day on the first tee.
If you get off to the first tee good, you're going to have a good day.
That's
you start, shanking it right out of the gate, you're playing catch up all day.
That's right. Speaking of golf, Nick, the attire when you golf, you look like a pro. I mean, there's no Ricky Fowler has got nothing on you. That's for sure. I mean, I don't know what you're shooting these days, but you look good. That's for sure.
I don't want to talk about what I'm shooting because that's just a whole nother conversation. But you got to look good to play the part.
That's right.
Feel good, and then hopefully I play good. But I would say more so than not, I don't.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
I wish I could hit a golf ball as far as you. I mean, you absolutely crushed the ball. But golf's a game where you need time, and you got to put the practice in. And unfortunately, right now with the kids and work and everything, I just can't find 4 hours on a consistent basis to get out there and try to work on my game.
The driving range, please. I mean, I don't have 2 seconds to hit the driving range. Remember the days you could just go to the driving range for hours and just hit balls?
Yeah.
And then you have kids, and that doesn't happen.
And life changes, but all for the better, though. All for the better. I mean, at this stage of my life. I would say that I'm in a really good spot. My kids are at a really fun age. You know, I'm seeing them mature and to become little, you know, young adults.
Yes.
And starting to get ready for the next chapter of their life. And hopefully, you know, the wisdom that was taught to me from my parents, I can then, you know, transition and translate that to them. And hopefully they listen to my guidance and, you know, become young, successful adults.
One of them's almost driving, right?
One of them is driving.
Oh,
yeah.
Dad, can I drive the Urus today? I mean, I'm sure you've
That's
heard
a hard
that
no.
one.
That's a hard no. Although I did drive
car.
my youngest daughter to homecoming.
Yeah.
In the Lamborghini.
Oh, that's great.
So her and her friends were pretty excited about that.
I love it.
A little fringe benefit, I guess.
Yeah. You know what's cool is that you and I have, like I said, we've gone back so far. It's almost like, you know, we could switch mics and you could talk about me and I could talk about you. We just know so much about each other. One of the things I always liked about you is your family, right? You're a huge family guy. You know, your parents, when I first met them, probably 10 years ago or so, your dad, he got in a boxing stance with me and he threw a couple jabs, you know, and he was, you know, he's playing around. I didn't know he had those kind of moves.
Well, boxing was a big part of my life growing up. You know, my brother was a boxer up in Massachusetts, and my dad was a boxing commissioner in New England. So, you know, I was in the gym at a young age watching my brother box. He was a Golden Glove champion and was on a USA Junior Olympic team. So I was around the sport a lot. So my father was a big part of that.
That's great. I love that. So are you going to watch the Jake Paul Tyson fight coming up?
I am. I am going to watch it.
Well, let's watch that together.
Yeah, I would like that. Yeah. I would like that. You know, Mike Tyson is an iconic boxer. I mean, that era, in my opinion, was just one of the greatest eras of boxing ever.
No doubt.
I remember going over to my grandmother's house when I didn't have HBO. My grandmother did because we couldn't afford it. So I went over to my grandmother's house and we used to watch all the Tyson fights. Me, my brothers, and my father, and my grandmother. Yeah, those are the good old days.
Those great days. I remember when I see a highlight, it brings me back to being at my uncle's house watching the Mike Tyson fight. There's a couple of things that bring it back, right? Music does. Smells do. They bring you right back in time, which is great.
Sports, you know, talking about sports, you know, we always have this conversation with people that like sports, you know. What was sports like back then compared to today? I think the whole, you know, sporting industry has changed dramatically.
It has.
I mean, you know, everything, you know, especially.
You know a lot about sports, by the way.
You know, basketball.
You don't really talk much about that, but when it comes to sports.
I'm a big sports guy.
Yeah. Pete Rose died today.
Yeah, he did.
Greatest hitter,
you know.
well, one of the greatest.
You know, you talk about basketball. I mean, you know, Michael Jordan, you know, that era of basketball compared to the basketball today, totally different game, right?
Yeah.
You had Michael Jordan flying through the air, dunking on people, you know, just, you know, rewrote the game of basketball. And today it's all about the three-point shot.
Yeah.
You know, how far out can you shoot the ball from half court, right? You know, Steph Curry.
Yeah, yeah. Nick, your family, so your brothers, your family doesn't have to have these highlight birthdays, 50, 55, 60, right? You guys just throw, you know, big parties at, what was it, 56? Your brother's 56?
I think my brother turned, I don't know if there was a special number with 56, but he just decided to throw a 56-year-old, you know, bender.
And it was a great party at the Hyatt.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun.
You know, I met your brother Joey there for the first time. And he, you know, he looks like a boxer. I mean, he doesn't look like the kind of guy you could just walk up to and say hi to, right? But just to kind of talk about you and how your family is, they treat your friends like their family. So I walked up to him and I said, "Hey, are you Nick's brother, Joey?" And he says, "Yeah, what's your name?" And, you know, he's kind of intimidating looking, right? And I said, "Joe Pavich." He gave me a hug. "Oh, man, Joe, I've heard so much about you. My mom, my dad, my brother, Brian." You know, he was like I was his family right off the bat, that's pretty special.
Well, that's the way you're raised, man. It's all about family. You know, that's where it starts. You know, you're a product of your environment. And that's kind of what I also, you know, handle my customers the same way, just like you, Joe.
Yeah.
I run into people all the time and, you know, we talk about real estate. Of course, being in Southwest Florida, real estate's a big thing. And, you know, your name may come up or, hey, you know, Joe Pavich. I know Joe Pavich, of course. Oh, yeah, Joe. Oh, Joe's doing really well for himself. I said, yeah, Joe's, he's doing great. But I said, you know, one thing about Joe is I've known Joe for 25 years, and that didn't happen overnight.
Sure.
You know, success is something that takes time. It takes work. You know, and it takes a little bit of luck.
Yeah.
Needs a little bit of luck too. So,
sure.
You know, people think life just happens, you know, like all of a sudden one day you become this super successful person. But, you know, over the years, you know, I let people know that, hey, listen, Joe worked very hard to get where he is. You know, he deserves, you know, all the gratifications that he gets out of it.
Thanks, Nick. Well, you know, everybody needs a chance, right? So I remember the first time I went into an appointment and it was like $1 million listing and they said to me, "What have you sold for $1 million?" Right? And I think maybe my highest sale was like $300,000. I mean, you need a chance at some point, and somebody needs to give you a chance. And that's kind of what happens, really, because they don't trust you yet because you haven't had that name for selling those bigger properties. So you need a chance to get to that next level to start getting those. But everybody's got to start somewhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's just like, in my business, right? So I went from Land Rover, right, selling Range Rovers, and Jaguars for 13 and a half years with my brother.
Yeah.
And those are great cars. And, it's a luxury product. But then when you step into the exotic world, it's a whole nother animal.
Yeah, it is.
Right? I mean, you have to learn a whole nother product. You're dealing with a whole different clientele. You're learning all these different vehicles, competitor vehicles, right? You have to know engines, trim levels, special vehicles, because now it's a whole different language, right?
Yeah.
Just like somebody who buys $1 million or $5-10 million properties, right? They're looking for certain things in those properties that you have to have experience to know about, right?
Well, Nick, that's an awesome brand for you, because you are a Lamborghini, that's for sure. I've always thought you were kind of a Diablo until the Revolto came out. Really fine-tuned.
I'm the Revolto. That is definitely me. I love that car. It's the sickest car on the road right now.
What did you bring? You brought a car with you today.
I did. I drove the all-new Lamborghini Revolto.
We're going to see that today, right?
We will.
A little bonus segment
lot.
Afterwards.
It's 1,000 horsepower. It's the replacement to the Aventador. Hybrid technology, crazy fast, exotic looking. For under $1 million, it's the best car on the road, hands down. Comfortable to drive. Yeah, really, really beautiful vehicle. It's a work of art. Truly a work of art.
So that car versus let's just say a Diablo, right? The old you, the Diablo.
The old me.
How do they drive?
Totally different. Totally different.
I've heard the older cars are harder to drive.
They're hard to drive.
Could you the Countach? I've heard the Countach is
it's work.
It's hard.
Yeah, those cars today are more of a work of art. You look at them, you're not driving those cars.
Sure.
I mean, they're museum pieces for most people. I mean, I've got a Murcielago with 300 miles on it in my showroom right now, and we all just look at it every day because it's like a work of art.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a collector's item. These new cars today, I mean, you can drive them every day. They definitely are meant to be driven. The technology is insane. Most supercars don't have great tech. This car has a lot of great technology, a lot of great driver's aids. It's a comfortable ride, which most of them, you're on the road, you're getting banged up, you're feeling every bump, it's rattling you in the seat. This car they really refined everything in it.
It's the next level up from is it the Aventador?
So it's a replacement to the Aventador.
I love that car, the Aventador.
The Aventador is a beautiful car. It's an iconic vehicle for the brand.
Sure.
Totally. I mean,
so now the Aventador is a different ride, obviously. That's in between like a Diablo and a Revolto,
that's a single clutch transmission. It's definitely some work to drive. Sounds great, looks great.
Great
but you have
car.
to understand the car before you get in it, because that car just wants to go.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And the way you drive that car
is it's angry as it's sitting there.
It wants to beat you up.
Yeah, it owns you.
It does. It does own you. And the only way you can really be friends with that car is by driving it fast.
There's no way to drive that car just around easy, right? I mean, it's ready to roll.
It wants to go fast. It's like walking a cheetah in your neighborhood. Like it just wants to run. That's what that car's meant for.
Nick, in sales, you've always had a different way about it. I feel like you could just connect with people, talking with people, make that connection. That's what it's really all about, right? If you can sell without selling and just being a normal, approachable person, I mean, isn't that what it's all about?
For me, I love cars, right? I mean, I had a Lamborghini poster like every kid did on their wall, as a child. And now fast forward life, and here I am, running a Lamborghini dealership. Is it a dream come true? I guess it kind of is.
Yeah.
But what I really love more than cars is I love people. I mean, that's really what it's about. It's the people that are buying the cars. And I think, what I enjoy most is really the experience dealing with the customer, learning about them.
Yeah.
Learning their success stories. How did you end up here? Like what gave you this, success to be able to come in and purchase one of the greatest cars ever built? I want to hear your story.
Yeah.
I want to learn a little bit about you.
That's cool, because it kind of brings out the inner kid in people, right? I'm sure that you thought it was just going to be an easy, not easy, but people walk in unemotional. But I mean, I've seen some of the people that I've met that have bought cars from you. I mean, they are thrilled like a teenager would be to get his first car, which is so cool, because that car is the brand you have is awesome.
I mean, it's a special car, and the people that buy these cars, they're special.
They get excited just like kids, don't they?
They do, and there's all different walks of life. You've got the young people that, just, became successful, and of course, their first thing they want to do is go buy a Lamborghini, right? Because that was the car they've always wanted as a child. Then you've got the older people that are a little bit more under the radar, and they've got car collections. And of course, the Lamborghini is a trophy car, so you have to have one in your collection, or multiple ones in your collection.
I love the excitement, though. It's one thing if people, they buy something without the excitement, whether it's a home, whether it's a car, whether it's a watch. But to see people get excited about what they purchase is pretty special.
Oh, that's the customer experience.
That's what drives you.
Absolutely. To deliver that product, we delivered our first Revolto the other day, and to see the look on the guy's face, he waited for it for over a year. He was, it was like a kid in a candy store.
Was it on social media?
I did. I posted it on social media.
That's so awesome.
The car was just sick. It was a well-spec'd, perfect design. It looked
to
like
be
a
the only one
Batmobile.
on the road in that car?
First one delivered in Naples.
Yeah.
It's a great color, matte black.
How long did it take to get that car?
He ordered it well over a year ago.
Yeah.
So, it's been probably, I think, a 14, 15-month period.
Is that about how long it would take to order one now?
Right now, those cars are sold out till 2027. So to get one is going to be, you're going to have to wait. Although I am working on trying to get one or two lightly used ones that I may have in my inventory over the next 30 days. Just keep an eye on things. Watch my website. You might find something special on there.
That's great.
Because the car is just so amazing that, I don't even, if I have to pay a premium to get it, I'll pay the premium.
I can't wait to see it when we get done here.
Exciting.
Can we leave
stuff.
now? Can we just go see it? So, Nick, when you're dealing with people, employees, teaching them how to sell, to be a good listener, but to learn people, like people skills, to actually learn people, do you think that can be taught? Or I feel like it's sort of something that's in you. You might get better at it, right? But
I think the first thing is, your instinct is, are you likable? Is the person that's going to help you buy this product, are they likable? Because the person who's going to spend the money and write the check, they're not going to write a check to anybody who's not likable, who they don't like and feel comfortable with. I can teach somebody about a product. There's enough information out there on the internet and enough ways to get information to learn about a product, to learn about a car, to learn about a house, to learn about a neighborhood. But you can't teach somebody how to be a people person.
You're right. Becoming likable. It's great you say that, because that's really what it's all about. Be
absolutely.
cool and be likable.
If you
always
spend
do the
2
right
to 3
thing.
hours with someone and you're going to buy a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $800,000 car, or a, $400,000 house, or a $4 million house, right? These are big decisions. These are the largest decisions you'll ever make in your life.
That's right.
And you're only going to do business with someone that you feel comfortable with, and that's not something I can really teach. It's something that goes back to the way you were raised. It goes back to your values, your morals.
They always say buying a home is the most expensive thing you're ever going to buy, right? Until Lamborghini came around.
Until Lamborghini came to Naples.
Are more than houses.
Yeah, some of them are. Some of them are. Absolutely.
But Nick, we're kind of in the same boat in a sense, right? We're young guys. We're in a sales business, right? Selling cars and real estate. However, when people come into us, like you, right? If you walk in the door, their defense mode gets set up, right? They don't really want to talk. They assume you're going to try to push. But I've always kind of liked your way, and I feel like I'm the same way, is that you just talk with people, and you don't have to sell. You just get to know them, and that's what sells, right? It's like selling without selling.
I don't even talk about cars. When somebody comes in, the first thing I'm doing is I'm just trying to connect with you as a person. I want to learn about where you're from. I want to what brought you to the dealership? How did you end up here today? Are you just coming to look at nice cars, take pictures? You want to post some videos? No problem. No problem. You're welcome to do that. Or are you somebody who's really looking for their next purchase?
Sure.
And if you are, what's going to separate me from somebody else?
Mm-hmm.
When you spend $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 on a car, you can buy a lot of cars.
That's right.
There's a lot of different stuff out there, you know. There's a lot of competitive brands. Are you buying a Porsche? Are you buying a Ferrari? Do you already own a Porsche? Do you already own a Ferrari? Why are you at a Lamborghini dealership? Yeah. And then once I know that, you're that type of buyer and you're looking to actually make a buying decision, then I just want to make sure you make the right decision.
Sure.
I want to guide you through that process and make sure that you're happy with the vehicle. It has exactly what you're looking for. It's the color combination you want. I'm not going to try to persuade you into making the wrong decision.
Yeah, sure.
Because here's the thing. If you buy a car from me and I persuade you to make the wrong decision, are you going to be happy? No. 6 months down the road, a year down the road, you're going to say, man, why did I buy that car? I wish I would have went with my instinct instead of listening to the salesperson. Yeah. So I want to make sure that I capture your business for life.
Yeah.
I want you to be a customer of mine for life. And the only way I'm going to earn that right is by walking you through that journey and doing it respectfully and doing it tactfully and making sure that you make the decision, not me. It's your decision. It's your money.
Yeah,
you're happy with it.
You're going to help them make the right decision.
And if I don't have the right thing for you at that time, I'm not going to try to force feed something down your throat. I'm going to say, look, you know what? Let's keep in contact with each other. I know what it is you're looking for. Obviously, these cars don't grow on trees. Let me do some farming. Let me do some research. Let me try to find you the right vehicle. And when I do, we can revisit this at that time.
Nick, one thing I've noticed is a lot of your Range Rover clients are now clients of yours.
They've made the transition.
To a few of them.
They've made the transition. Some of them have had that luxury to be able to make that transition. Not everybody can step up the price point to that dollar amount. But it's nice to see that these customers have followed me and want to continue to do business with me. And even though it's a totally different animal, it's a different car, but they've come down to see me and they've actually made the transition and now driving a Lamborghini because I'm going to provide them the same service.
That's right.
I'm going to make sure that we take care of them.
Even the Urus, though. I mean, there are Rovers that are more expensive than a used Urus.
True.
Correct?
That's right.
That's why I didn't realize that they were kind of not I wouldn't say affordable, but they were a lot less than I thought they would be, right? A new one is what, $350 to $400 if you get a Performante, but
you're going to be $300 plus.
But a used one you can get closer to $200, can't you?
You can. And
so that's that starts to get into like G-Wagon, Rover pricing, right?
Absolutely. And there's
that's a whole other animal.
When you get into the exotic, product line, there's also other banks that you have access to that you're able to get special financing to help make these cars a little bit more affordable for you too.
Where it doesn't even hit your credit, right?
That's another thing.
Yeah.
These banks sometimes protect business owners and people that want to buy, say, real estate, right? If you have a $300,000 car loan on your credit, right, it's going to be very difficult to go out and buy an investment property or go buy a $2 million house, because it's debt to income ratio.
Sure.
So a lot of these banks will actually finance you and not report to the credit bureaus.
And even longer periods of time, right? I think there's one that does like 20 years or something.
15 years.
15 years.
15 years.
Which
180 months.
Which would bring your payment down to like a little bit more than a Rover.
It would be like leasing a Rover or G-Wagon or
just
buying
for the
one of
next
those.
15 years versus versus like the next 5, right?
Well, the thing about these cars, is they're just a different animal. I mean, all cars depreciate, but these things actually really retain their value. I mean, as long as you don't start driving for Uber and put 80,000 miles on these cars, because that's going to affect the value of any car.
Sure.
But
didn't you ask me that before? About my last Rover I turned in?
I've never seen anybody drive so many miles.
You asked me if I was an Uber driver, right?
You came in for an oil change. I said, how many miles you got on that thing right now? And I thought you were kidding with me. I said, what are you driving for Uber right now? I didn't know you picked up a side gig.
Oh, that's great. That was fun. Every time I came in. Joe, let's look at the lot and see what else we have.
Let me ask you a question, okay? Because we do share a lot of similarities in our industries. But like when you go to a listing appointment, right, and somebody's going to sell their house, like what type of challenges do you deal with, and what are some of the questions they ask you, and how do you handle them when they say, well, why should I use you, Joe? Why would I want to list my house with you when there's 5,000 other realtors out there that I can find and use them as well?
It's 14,000, Nick, by the way. 14,000.
Wow.
So, Nick, every time I go into an appointment, they always are interviewing different people, right? The things that I would say set me apart is that I've been doing real estate for 23 years full-time. Our family opened up the first real estate office in Estero. So we're kind of pioneers, I feel like, in the real estate industry. I've been doing it full-time. I mean, it is a career for me. I've been doing this full-time. And through the years, I've sold a lot of homes through the years, but I've made a lot of people happy too. So I have a lot of referrals. The market goes up and down. So when the market's high, you're kind of saving. For when the market goes down, then you're spending more money in marketing to try to, the cream always rises to the top, I guess, as you say.
It does.
Do the voice, Nick.
The macho man, the cream always rises to the top.
That's right. So when the market's down, you have to spend more money and be in front of more people. But it's just it's the trust, the integrity, the knowledge, and just being a normal guy, being likable, and doing what you say you're going to do. Nick, I still have the same team, as you know.
The dream team.
Still with me, yeah. And we have a process. However, things don't always sell right away. It's not 2015, 16, 17, we're 18. I mean, the market was very strong for a very long time, right? Sell a home in 30 days, 60 days, here's what it's going to sell for. The market's changed. However, it's all about the sellers or buyers just understanding that I might not be able to sell this right away. Don't buy another property till I sell your house. It's all about just communication.
I asked that because we actually do consignment at our dealership. So I have a lot of the same questions. Somebody says, hey, I want to sell my car. And we offer a consignment, so very similar to a listing. We list their car. We bring the car in, we market it, we list it for sale. And I have a lot of the same questions. Everybody seems to think their car or home is worth a lot more than what the market says it is, right? So, I always recommend, listen, we have to price it to sell. You can price anything at any price, but if you really want to sell it, I feel like you have to price it to the market.
Trust. That's where trust comes in, right? They trust you. Now, Nick, one thing that homes have that cars don't have is Zillow, right? There's no real Zillow for car markets. So if you have a car on consignment, for example, there's no way to really tell how long it's been listed.
Correct.
Where homes, like people walk into a home and the first question they ask is, how long has this home been on the market?
How long has it been on the market, right?
Cars don't have that. You think that'll ever happen?
You could dive in and look at Carfax and see, how long it's been on the market if you really go and take the extra step. But if you price a car out of the market, it also isn't it doesn't send a good message to me, because I don't want to have cars that are overpriced on my lot. So I have an intelligent conversation with them, and I say, look, here's the reasons why I think the car should be priced at this, and I think it will sell at that.
Sure.
And that way we can get some traction, we can get some interested buyers. And then I think at that point it really boils down to someone like you or someone like me who now is negotiating a deal with that potential buyer, right? And I think that's where you really shine, because one of the things I always liked about you is the way that you handle business. Certain things that a rookie realtor or someone who doesn't have the experience you do wouldn't know what to say, wouldn't know how to handle that.
Sure.
Some people are just all commission driven.
That's right. Yeah,
they'll
the
say,
sale,
"Oh, pick
get the
me
sale,"
because I won't charge you as much money." But in the end, if that person doesn't get you the right number on your house, even though they're giving you a lower commission, in the end, when the smoke clears, they're not still, the monies are not going to be the dollar that they really want in their pocket.
Yeah.
So it's
And
not
it's
always
hard.
it's not about discounts and doing things at a discounted price.
We all think everything we have is worth more because we have it, right? I mean, everybody's wired that way.
Absolutely.
No matter what you're selling, right?
Yeah.
There's been a couple in my career that I gave them a higher number than they were expected. Actually, last couple of years, which kind of surprised me. I gave the sellers a number, and they said, "Oh, okay, if you can get that, great." But I'm thinking it's worth somewhere down here. So.
Well, I think when you invest a lot of money in your property or your car, per se, just kind of comparing, right? Let's say you redo your kitchen, you've got nice paint on the walls, crown molding, all these things. You spent all this money on your outdoor area. Same thing with a car. I got an exhaust. I got PPF film on it. I got this. I got that. I tuned it. I did that. Well, that's great for you. You got to enjoy that, right?
Yeah.
But the buyer who's going to buy that may not want all that
You're
stuff.
right.
May not, they could buy the house and redo the whole thing, because what you like, they may not.
You're
like.
right.
And the exhaust that's on this, Lamborghini Aventador may be too loud for the next buyer, and they want a different exhaust.
That's why it's so good to ask people that know. Like, I wish sellers or buyers would call me to say, "Joe, I want to buy this lot, right? Do you think I should buy it?" And I would either say yes or no. But they only know until later when they go to sell it, right? When they go to trade it in, the Aventador with the loud exhaust, a home that's on the street, it's got a lot of road noise, whatever it is, or the dark finishes of the inside. I mean, you want to help people make the right decision, so when they go to turn the car in or resell the house, you can do well for them.
Well, it's guiding them. Again, it's just giving them professional advice. And sometimes people have a lot of pride and they don't want to, listen to that advice.
Yeah.
It's just like when somebody, wants to sell their car. They come to me and they say, "Okay, I want to sell you my car. How much will you pay me for it?"
Yeah.
And I give them a number. And of course, I'm still waiting for this day to happen. I'm waiting for the number I give a customer. They say to me, "Oh my God, Nick, that's way more than I thought." But everybody thinks their property is worth more than what it really is. And then sometimes they'll say, "You know what, Nick, I'm really looking to get more than that for the car, so I'm going to hold on to it for a little while." And then they realize that they can't sell it on their own. They're not, they're not familiar with how to sell a car like that on their own. There's challenges that are involved that they're not aware of. So then they resurface. They come back to me 3 months later and they say, "Okay, I want to sell the car." And now I give them a number today. And that number may be different because the market changes. There might be more inventory out there. The market can shift and pivot. And then they say, "Oh man, I should have listened to you 3 months ago." And I say, "Look, I don't want to say I told you so, but I'm here to help you. I'm not here to try to take your wallet from you. I'm trying to, give you some good advice. And sometimes people listen and sometimes people don't. Nick, and unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't work in their favor."
You're exactly right. So let's switch gears.
Good segue. I like it. No pun intended.
So Nick, a lot of stories, right? Let's tell a good story about work. I could write a book on stories in real estate. So I'm going to start off with a good real estate story. I think I'm going to start doing that every show, is I'm going to tell a good real estate story.
Okay.
Did I ever tell you the Picasso story?
No. Hit me with it.
So I have this house listed in Naples, and it's like a $3 million house. The clients say they want to meet me to take a look at it. So I'm thinking, okay, I can meet you there at noon on Saturday. They said, "No, we want to meet in your office." I'm thinking, this is a big house. This is a huge house. You do not want to meet me in the office. I want to take you to see this car. I want you to drive this car. I want you to see this house. You can't buy this stuff without seeing it, right? So they come and meet me in the office, and it's raining outside. And they brought this Picasso in the rain with a garbage bag over it and said, "We want to trade this Picasso in for the house." And, I'm thinking rain, 2 guys, no guards, no armed vehicle. I mean, if I had a Picasso, I'd have it in a showroom somewhere with
I'd have it locked up
snipers on the roof, armed guards, the
glass
whole
case, the whole nine.
So they asked me what I thought. We kind of started laughing together. I said, "How am I going to sell this Picasso trade for this house I have? You guys haven't even sold me on the fact that this thing is real." But they brought a Picasso in for a trade.
I mean, how are you going to authenticate a Picasso?
I'm going to bring a Picasso into your dealership and get three new
better yet, come in with some Bitcoin or something. I mean, everybody asks me that. I got Bitcoin. Will you buy? Can you buy a car? Not at my store. You can. At least maybe some stores.
Exactly.
I'll tell you a story. You can never underestimate the buying power of a customer. Naples is known as a very under the radar, wealthy area, right? So a lot of people come in. It's not like Miami where people are, coming in flashy, with, diamonds on their wrist and necklaces and watches and, everybody's trying to be somebody.
Sure.
In Naples, it's the complete opposite. People are a little bit more under the radar, at least the wealthy people. They may come in flip-flops and a T-shirt, and could probably buy my dealership 1,000 times over. Maybe they sold their company for $1 billion, right? I mean, that's just the kind of people that live in Naples, Florida. So we had a car in the showroom, and customer comes in, looked like they just came from the gym, walks in the dealership, her and her husband, "Hey, do you got any Urises available?" I said, "You know what? I got this, we're on our way to go to the U.S. Open, the pickleball tournament, right up the road from my dealership." I said, "Yeah, I mean, it's a big tournament, great, come on in. I do have a few lightly used pre-owned Urises that I can show you. If you want a new one, you're going to have to order one. But we'll spec it out the exact way you want, customize it to your liking, colors, everything." And they said, "Well, we don't have a lot of time. What's that Urus right there?" I said, "Well, that one is, it's got 1,000 miles on it." And literally the wife says, "I'll take that. I want to order 2 new ones, one for me and one for my husband." Spent $1 million in about 5 minutes flat.
Wow.
I said, wow. Came in like they were going to go to the gym.
Yeah.
And literally within 10 minutes, spent $1 million. I mean, you just never know who's coming into your dealership. Right. They didn't pull up in a fancy car. They weren't driving an exotic car. I think they pulled up in a rental, and I want to say, well, it could have been a minivan.
Yeah.
It literally could have been a minivan. And that's fine. You never judge people by the car they're driving. You never judge people by the way they're dressed. You treat everybody the same, and you give them the same level of service as I would if that person had pulled up in a Huracan, or or any other exotic car.
Yeah.
You just never can underestimate the buying power of your customers.
Yeah.
You know?
Nick, that's incredible. That's a good story. I should have went maybe the more serious story. I got a couple good serious stories too. I went the more funny route. So Nick, you and your brother Brian, Range Rover. I mean, you guys were everywhere, right? TV, every time I turned on the TV, I either saw Good Deals Appliances, Cornerstone, or Range Rover. You guys spent a lot of money on advertising. But then you decided to take this new role with Lamborghini. How did that work out?
So my brother, my mentor, great guy, my best friend, taught me a lot about the business. We had a great relationship, working together. I can honestly say in all the years I worked with him, and I worked with him we were at Land Rover for over 13 and a half years, but I worked with him for over 15 years, more than that, probably 17 years. Never once had a fight with him.
Yeah, I believe that.
We can have a difference of opinion, but we always worked it out. We always had a level of respect for each other. He taught me a lot about the business. Smart guy, great car guy, and with our working relationship, we had so much success at that dealership. I just felt like he had everything in place, and it was an opportunity for me to maybe go to the next level. And this opportunity came about. The Warren Henry Group reached out to me. They own some Land Rover dealerships over on the East Coast, and I met them through some dealer meetings and some awards that we had won, and we became very friendly. And they had mentioned they own a Lamborghini dealership in Broward County, and they mentioned they were going to open one in Naples. This was years ago. And they said, if we open a Lamborghini dealership, you're going to be our guy.
Wow.
And
what a great opportunity, though.
And then fast forward times, I said, if this ever comes to fruition, I might be interested in that, And then
it's got to be hard though, right? Because you've been there so long with your brother.
Oh, the team. I mean, there wasn't a dry eye in the place when I left.
Yeah.
I can tell you that. It was a very difficult decision, but with my brother's guidance, his support, he said, this is a perfect fit for you, a perfect opportunity. He said to me, you should take it, because the group that I am working with, the Warren Henry Group, they're a great group of guys. It's a family business. They're just a great company to work for. They really open their arms to me. They treat me like I'm part of their family.
I was at the event, and it seemed like a family right away. For you, when you left your brother, it went with the Warren Henry Group. That's a big loss for your. I mean, that's your brother, right? But the fact that I know how happy he was for you, that's pretty special.
Yeah, he was. He was so supportive, very happy. We weren't stepping on each other's toes and competing with each other. He can give me advice. I can give him advice. Yeah. I'm still sending customers to him.
You both do different things. You're wired differently,
and in two totally different arenas.
Yeah.
So it was just the right time and the right fit. And I love the brand. I love the area. I love Naples. I love Lamborghini. So it was just a great opportunity for me to take my career to the next level. And my brother said, you're an idiot if you don't take this job.
Yeah.
So
Nick, I got to tell you, day one, if I was in your shoes, I would have probably not turned the Lamborghini on. I would have sat in the car for a little bit. I would have tilted the rearview mirror down and looked at myself in the mirror and said, look at this guy right here. You had to have done that. I mean, it's almost like you wanted that we all, right? Need for Speed, when I was a kid, video games, posters on the walls. Everybody had a Countach poster on their wall with the doors open. Not everybody, but kids that like cars.
Mine was the one with the Golden Gate Bridge in the background.
Yeah.
That was the one. The white Countach, the Golden Gate Bridge in the background. It was on my wall. I used to look at it every day. And then, you fast forward and I'm like, wait a minute. I pull up to the dealership the first day and I'm like, what is going on? Like, how did this even happen?
Sure. And you always appreciate things. So I know some people, they would just be another Lambo. They get in the car, right? They just drive. But for you, I know you really appreciate firing that car up every single time you hear that rumble. It puts a smile on your face for sure.
Well, it does, because I feel like you have to be passionate about what you're representing and what you're selling and what you're around. You become a product of your environment. And I think these cars just kind of elevate your game. They really force you to really polish things up, treat people the way that a customer spending that kind of money needs to be treated. It's a high level of service. You're all about the customer experience, and it just puts you in a specific mindset.
Sure.
Every day I walk in there.
I love it. That's great. Quick question: which watch is this car?
Okay.
Aventador.
AP.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Now. All right. And don't say because I'm here. What's your favorite car of all time?
Aventador.
All right, good answer.
Yeah.
Good answer. Love it. I've got one at my dealership. If you want to come by, maybe we can get you in one.
Nice. That's great. Nick, we're around people all day, right? Restaurants. We like to make our rounds, right? We're never going to not do our circle to avoid someone, right? We love talking to people, right?
Absolutely. I mean, when I'm out, the last thing I'm going to do is not talk to a customer that I see or a friend. I'm going to go right up to them, say hello, talk to them. If I've done business with them, I'm going to ask them, how's your car? How do you like your such and such vehicle? You know?
We just love people, right? And at night, are you able to shut it off?
It can be challenging at times because your mind is going 100 miles an hour.
You're laying in bed, you got thoughts going.
Your phone, that phone of ours. I mean, it's just you're constantly able to be contacted. It's a text message, an email. You get an alert. You want to look at it.
I wonder
you
what
want
it
to
is.
respond.
Am I going to miss something?
And you could dive into a rabbit hole. And next thing you know, you're in a conversation with someone, and it's like, wait a minute, this is family time.
Because you kind of stay up a little bit later, don't you?
11 o'clock done. I'm in bed.
I'm
sleeping.
exactly 11.
11:01. My lights are out.
Because you're a movie guy. You like to watch shows and all that, right?
But I'm up at 4 in the morning, 4:45. I have to shut it down at 11. Anywhere past 11, it ruins my day.
So I'm going to give you a trick that might help you. So at about 10:30, right when I get up that last time before I shut it down, right, the phone goes across the room. I plug it in away from me, okay? That way I can't look at it. And that way when it goes off in the morning, I don't want to wake my wife up. So it makes you jump out of bed real quick. So it's good because you got to stop the swiping at some point, right?
Well, you got to have balance, and this phone of ours. I mean, it's you're too available sometimes.
That's right.
And you can just totally waste a lot of your time throughout the day just swiping and going.
We should bring flip phones back in.
I'm going to bring the bag phone back.
Nice, Nick. Thank you so much for coming out today. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate coming on the show. This is great. This has been awesome. I feel like I'm just hanging out with my buddy.
We should both be here, and we should have Elon Musk sitting across from us doing the show, right? And
hey,
it
who
should
knows
be
what
the
the
Nick and
future
Joe
holds.
show, Nick.
I like it.
The Nick and Joe show.
The Nicky D and Joey P show. I love it.
Final thoughts, though, is really we're in two different businesses, but we're really in the same business, and that's the people business, right?
Absolutely.
It's all about working with people, being a good listener, Nick. A lot of people don't listen. They talk. You learn a lot by listening. People have to trust you. They have to rely on you, and you have to help them make the right decisions.
True statement. You couldn't have said it better. You have to be a good listener. You have to be a good communicator. And I think today people have lost that skill set of communicating.
It's gone.
They're afraid to pick up the phone and talk. They want to be behind a keyboard. They want to text. They want to email. But I think so much more can get accomplished if you actually physically communicate and talk with somebody. You can hear their emotion. You can get your message, across the proper way.
That's right. Just pick up the phone. It takes 2 seconds, right?
It's crazy. I mean, people don't pick up the phone anymore.
The technology obviously has changed a lot, right? Where there's a lot of systems now that we can use that's going to email you directly when new listings come up. But there's nothing better than the old school way. Pick up the phone.
Communication. It's essential.
Thanks, Nick.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Wow, Nick, this is the Revolto, huh?
All right, so this is it right here. This is the car of all cars right now on the road.
Cream of the crop right here. This thing looks angry.
I mean, just look at the design. Just walk around this car. It looks like a fighter jet. All their cars are basically designed after a fighter jet.
It does.
Okay, look at the rear of the vehicle. Exposed engine, V12 hybrid. Look at the rear of the vehicle.
This thing
it's a monster. An absolute monster.
What's the name of this color?
Grigio Telesto. Only vehicle to have an exposed engine like that. It's a hybrid technology, 1,000 horsepower. This thing is freaky fast. Freaky fast. Like literally faster than any ride at Universal Studios.
Unreal.
There's not a supercar on the road that has this type of technology. Lamborghini Revolto. On sale, Lamborghini Naples.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the podcast and the bonus segment. The Lamborghini Revolto. Nick, this thing's insane.
It is nuts. And now I'm going to take you for a ride to give you the full experience. I'm going to actually take you to another planet.